Your dad didn't call it a muscle. He called it a gate. Modern anatomy calls it the Quadratus lumborum, the deepest stabilizer in your lower back, buried beneath everything you can actually feel with your hands. You cannot stretch it directly. You cannot foam roll it. It sits underneath the muscles you already know the names of. And 5 separate civilizations, thousands of miles and centuries apart, all pointed to this exact region of the body and warned the same thing. Neglect it, and everything above it collapses. They didn't have MRI. They didn't have shear wave imaging. But they were right about the location. Here's what they missed about the mechanism, and what a 2025 study just proved backwards. Before I go further, comment below. Left side, right side, or both. I want to see the pattern. Here's the switch most people never get told. You assume a problem muscle is a tight muscle. That's the whole story you've been sold. Tight hip flexors, tight hamstrings, tight lower back. Roll it out, stretch it, done. Low back pain affects nearly 1 in 5 people on this planet at any given time, and more than 3 out of 4 who get it once will get it again. So this isn't a niche problem. It's close to universal after 50, which makes it strange that so few people can name the actual muscle behind it. A 2025 diagnostic imaging study measured quadratus lumborum stiffness using shear wave elastography in patients with chronic low back pain. The expectation was tightness, more trigger points, more stiffness. The result was the opposite. Stiffness was significantly lower in the chronic pain group than in pain-free controls. Not tighter, weaker, undersupported. A second 2025 study went further, tracking how much this one measurement, the condition of this single deep muscle, explained about a person's actual pain intensity and nervous system sensitization. It was one of the strongest contributors in the entire model. Not lifestyle, not posture in general. This one structure specifically. This is the reframe. After 50, this isn't a muscle you need to release. It's a muscle you've quietly stopped asking to work. And your hips, your ribs, your spine, everything connected to it, has been compensating for that silence for years without you knowing. Now here's where it gets strange. Because this exact structural blind spot, this exact region, shows up independently across the ancient world, described in completely different languages, completely different medical systems, with no contact between them. In traditional Chinese medicine, this region is called the mansion of the kidneys. At its center sits Ming Men, the gate of vitality, considered the source of the body's foundational warmth. Kidney qi was believed to deplete slowly with age, making this precise location progressively more vulnerable the older you got. Physicians treated it with warming herbs and warned patients specifically to protect this part of the back from cold. A strikingly literal anticipation of what imaging shows happening structurally, centuries before anyone could see it. In Ayurveda, this region is the site of Kati Basti, a treatment where warm medicated oil is pooled directly over the lumbar spine, targeting what practitioners called apanavayu, the downward governing energy seated in the lower body. The oil wasn't symbolic. It was chosen to penetrate muscle and fascia in exactly this location. Different vocabulary, same coordinates. In ancient Egypt, the Edwin Smith Papyrus, the oldest surviving surgical document in human history, written around 1600 BCE, devoted 6 of its 48 documented cases specifically to spinal injury, ranking each by severity and treatability with a level of clinical precision that startled modern spine surgeons who translated it centuries later. In Greece, Hippocrates did something no one before him had done. He formally divided the spine into 3 regions: cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. That lumbar boundary he drew by hand over 2,000 years ago is the same boundary a radiologist uses today to locate this exact muscle. He even built physical devices to correct spinal curvature in that region, using nothing but wood and rope. And in Rome, Galen extended that work, cataloging all 24 vertebrae and cementing a model of the spine that would guide medicine for the next 1,500 years. 5 civilizations, 0 contact with each other, 1 shared coordinate on the body. If your family has a story about bad backs running through generations, tell me the version you grew up hearing. I'm collecting them. None of that makes you broken. You have not let yourself go. A muscle you cannot feel, cannot see, and were never taught to activate, has been under-supporting your spine for decades. That is not a character flaw. That is a blind spot. The same one 5 civilizations tried in their own language to point directly at. Here's the part almost every lower back video gets wrong, including some of your own past attempts to fix this. You've probably tried to stretch your lower back. Foam roller, lacrosse ball, someone's thumb driving into the muscle beside your spine. And it probably felt like something was happening. It wasn't this muscle. It couldn't have been. The Quadratus lumborum sits underneath the erector spinae. The muscles you can reach are the ones sitting directly on top of it, shielding it from anything you press against from the outside. When a foam roller hits your lower back, it's compressing the muscles guarding this one, not the muscle itself. You've been treating the sentry and calling it the gate. And remember the study from earlier? Stiffness in this muscle wasn't elevated in people with chronic pain. It was lower. So even if you could reach it directly, releasing it further would be releasing a muscle that's already under-contributing. That's the opposite of what it needs. This is why just stretch it has never worked for you long-term, and why it was never going to. You can't stretch a muscle that's already failing to hold its position. You can only ask it to fire again, deliberately, in isolation, until it remembers how. This is also, unglamorously, why no ancient tradition ever names this exact muscle. Not because they missed it, because nobody could reach it by hand, in any era, with any technique. What 5 civilizations could observe was the region, the vulnerability, the pattern of collapse that showed up in this part of the body as people aged. What they couldn't do, what only modern imaging can do, is separate that pattern from every other muscle sharing the same neighborhood. So if you've spent years rolling, stretching, and pressing on your lower back with nothing to show for it, that's not a discipline problem. Comment sentry below if that's you. I want to know how common this is. The fix was never going to be pressure. It was always going to be activation. So let's close it. The activation is simple, and it isolates the muscle without asking your spine to bend at all, which matters because bending is what most lower back movements do wrong. Lie on your side. Keep your body in a straight line. Lift your top hip toward your rib cage without rotating forward or back. This is the hip hike, the exact motion that gave this muscle its clinical nickname. 3 slow reps per side. Hold each for 3 seconds. Breathe through it. Don't brace against it. If you feel it anywhere other than the side of your lower back, you've turned it into a trunk movement. Reset and make the motion smaller. Exhale as you lift. Inhale as you lower. That timing matters more than people expect. Holding your breath during the lift is the fastest way to recruit your bigger, more dominant muscles instead of the one you're actually trying to wake up. This is meant to feel small. If it feels like a workout, you're doing too much. And this isn't only about pain relief. This muscle is one of the structures your body relies on to catch you when your balance shifts unexpectedly. A curb, an uneven step, a stumble. Fall risk after 50 climbs sharply. And a big part of why is that the deep stabilizers meant to correct a sudden shift in weight have gone quiet from disuse. Rebuilding this muscle isn't just about a quieter lower back. It's about a body that still catches itself the way it used to. Here's what to expect if you do this daily. Day 1. Most people feel this muscle fire in isolation for the first time in their life. It's an unfamiliar sensation because it's rarely been asked to work alone. Day 7. Less end-of-day fatigue in that lower back region during the transitions you don't think about. Sitting to standing, standing to walking. Day 30. Measurable improvement in single-leg standing stability. and less left-right asymmetry when you hike your hip. 5 civilizations pointed at this region without ever seeing the muscle itself. They worked from pattern and observation across centuries, without a single shared word between them, and still landed on the same coordinate on the human body. You now have the imaging they didn't. Use it.